Mike Rounds, the South Dakota Republican senator, sits on the Senate Banking Committee on where he stands on all of this. Senator Rounds, always good to see you. What do you think?
Well, good morning. We're here on a Saturday, and we're trying to fix a mess that has got less than about 12 hours to go before we shut down government. It's not the place that any of us want to be in. Senate and the House have different approaches. Nonetheless, the Senate right now is going to be taking a look at a continuing resolution that would at least sustain government for the next 45 days. The House has yet to determine quite what they want to do. We like a lot of the ideas that they've come up with in terms of reducing some of the spending that they've been after for the full year. But in the Senate, we also recognize that Republicans don't control the floor. So we've got to be able to work with Democrats, find a process forward, and still be able to fund the government for the next year. It has not been an easy process so far, but we just got to continue working at it.
If I heard Kevin McCarthy correctly, Senator, time is not on even the Senate side, that if you came to agreement on something, getting that voted on, approved, of course, there's not enough time before the government would, even for a limited amount of time, shut down. Is that true?
Yeah, if you use unless you get unanimous consent to bring it to the floor, you would have a problem. But that doesn't mean that we shouldn't at least take the next steps, because if we don't start now, it's just that much longer. We have been basically watching and trying to figure out what would be the best for the Speaker to be able to get his team together. We actually held up on part of what we have in the Senate, hoping that it would give the House an opportunity to actually put together a package. He hasn't been able to get that done yet, and so the next best is to at least get something from the Senate to the House for them to at least consider. They may not like it. It's it's a bipartisan effort. It includes some things that they don't like, but at least then they'd be able to come back, perhaps conference with it, or bring it to the floor and see if they can come up with a total vote that would pass it with a 2/3.
Senator, could you vote for something that doesn't include aid to Ukraine?
On a short-term basis, I could. Look, supporting the effort in Ukraine is long-term critical to our national interests. But if it means doing a shorter term in order for us to get the regular appropriations done, yeah, I could. The question is can the House actually pass one? Either way. So hopefully right now they'll try again. We'll give them an opportunity to see if they can put together a continuing resolution that allows both the House and the Senate to get through all 12 appropriation bills. And if that's the case, then we've at least succeeded in moving forward appropriately. If they can't get that done, we will have the bill coming from the Senate. It does include Ukraine funding for about 45 days. And the House then would have to consider what they want to do with it. Either way, I think we've got to do our best to try to continue the operations of government during this time in which we have those continued negotiations.
So the reason why I mentioned the Ukraine aid thing, it's even a divisive issue among fellow Republicans, sir, who say that we don't want to throw good money after bad. I think the third to half of the presidential candidates on the Republican side aren't too keen on it themselves, saying it's got to stop. Where are you on this? Does it worry you? What?
Yeah, look, first, we don't want Ukraine to fall, and we most certainly want to stop Putin in his tracks right now. I think where the administration has fallen down is that they have not laid out a plan to us, either in a classified setting or otherwise, as to what the end result should be. How do we get to an end result that we're all satisfied we're moving in the right direction to go? We know what Putin wants. We know what President Zelensky wants. But what we haven't heard is based on the best information laid out by some of the best and brightest minds that we've got in our Department of Defense, what should be our plan to get to an accomplished goal that we agree on. And I think that's one of the reasons why so many of my colleagues have got real concerns about continued funding. We've addressed that in some classified discussions, suggesting very strongly to the administration that they lay out for us the end result, where we want to go, not with date certain, that's not a good idea, but with goals to be met. That, I think, is the long-term approach to appropriately stopping Putin. Our long-term interest in sending a message to Xi Jinping that we will stand together, and to our allies that we can be counted on.
Got it. Senator, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Mike Rounds.